One young boy at the gym asked me, Uncle, what is the most important thing in a gym? And I smiled and I said, like in life, it is the same thing, making a plan and sticking to it. Think of investing, think of a diet, think of a gym, think of swimming, think of cycling, running, anything. Making a plan and sticking to it is not very easy. It is something which is necessary, absolutely necessary. I'm not saying sufficient, but absolutely necessary condition to build a good body or physique or whatever you want to do in the gym. Similarly, while you're investing, you need to invest regularly, you need to stay calm, and you need to have a plan which will let you stick with it immaterial of what happens. Which means if you have a plan which you are very confident, you should have been able to sit through it during COVID, right? That kind of plan. It's not going to be easy, it's going to be tough, because you're going to judge yourself over every quarter and over a 20-year period. So why can't we stick to a proper plan? Why can't we say if the market falls 50%, it is a fantastic opportunity to buy? Is it? Yes, of course it is, provided the market comes back. Because when the market does go down 50%, it could also be at the same time when your wife has left her job and your employer may not be very happy. You may have got a 1% increment, so you may be looking for a change of job, and that is not, and then when COVID hits, you are not very confident that you want to be buying now. You see your original plan, you had said if the market falls 50%, I'll double up, because I'm very young, I'm only 32 years of age. But the circumstances around you also change, so it is almost impossible for us to say, oh, this is the plan and I will stick to it. That is what you should be doing, that is what the theory is. And in retrospect you can say, oh, I wish I had done this, but you don't understand how your mind must be working. So imagine me, I have seen market fall 50% maybe once or twice in my life. Not that my portfolio fell 50%, but the market fell 50%. So is it a great time to be buying? Yes, maybe, but look at it this way, the more you read and more you know, then you're wondering, is it like 1929, is it like 1933, is it like 1998, will the market stay there for 5 years, 6 years, should I be buying or should I be sitting on cash? Will the market fall further? Why should a 50% fall not become a 70% fall or an 80% fall? Is there more opportunity while waiting, or is there more opportunity to be buying now? These are impossible to answer questions, because you have to answer those questions then and there. Now, when you track past data and analyze past data, you remember one thing, you know that the result which has come, you know that if you buy the market at a 50% fall, you will get very good returns over the next 2 years or 3 years. But believe me, I will be able to give you data showing where after a 50% fall there was another 10% fall or 15% fall. So what breaks the back of the camel, right? Which is the last straw, which is very difficult to say when you are acting on that day. Today, looking at people and saying, oh, 2009 you should have bought, or 2020 March was a fantastic time to buy. You know now that in September 2000 maybe the so-called bear market was over. What happens if the COVID vaccine impact had continued on the market for another 1.5 years, right, instead of 3 months? Would you have been able to say the same thing? Would you have sustained staying there, right? Take something like a HDFC Bank. I think 2020 March, of course the price fell to 825 or something like that, but I think it recovered very quickly. So Feb 2021 it was something like 1500. So if you had bought it in Feb 2021, you have got no returns so far till September 2024, which means Feb to Feb will be 21 to 22, 22 to 23, 23 to 24. 3.5 years your return from HDFC Bank has been very close to zero. Of course you have got dividends, right? If you had done an SIP, maybe you wouldn't have done too badly, but the question is at what stage do I tell you that HDFC Bank is a good bank because it's doing well, it has market share, it's the best bank. Whatever I tell you, I could be right over a 8-year period, I could be wrong over a 5-year period. What happens if it is the lost decade for HDFC Bank? from 2021 to 2031, then what is the hurry to buy it in 2024? You will not know any of this, but in 2027, if the price of this share is say 3000 or 3500, somebody will tell you, oh my god, September 2024 or November 2024 was such a fantastic time. It was obvious it had done nothing for 4 years and therefore it did well. But I can pick up HUL or a Reliance and show you a 10-year period when it has not done well. How do we know it is not that same 10-year period for HDFC Bank now, right? So to look at past data and wonder why did people behave like this, didn't they know what is going to happen? No, they didn't know, nor do you. So maybe HDFC Bank doubles from today in 2027 and reaches say 3000, but there could be some other share which is today at 30 which might reach 200, right? So that could be a 7-bagger. This is just a 2-bagger. So should you have bought that or should you have bought this? Again, only with hindsight do you know what you should have done, right? It's very difficult to say. It reminds me of two things. One, what Atul Gawande wrote, saying people, the amount of money that is spent on a person for medical help, for medical expenses is the highest in the last 6 months. Fairly obvious, maybe 1/2 of that person's lifelong medical expenses is spent in the last 6 months. So typically thinking like an accountant, you say it's going to be just 6 months, why spend it at all? But you do not know which 6 months, right? So you do not know whether the 6 months starts in January or whether the 6 months starts in May, right? So when do you stop spending? Do you stop spending at all? Difficult to answer questions, right? This is like, I think, Ogilvy method. Some Ogilvy who said that 50% of the money spent on advertising is a waste, but I wish to know which 50%, right? So when you don't know that, you have to hit and there will be some hit and miss. You have to spray and hope that some of it sticks and some of it will fail, definitely. So whenever we look at somebody saying, oh, this should have been done, that should have been done, you look at it and saying this is a recency effect. I still remember one quant fund being launched a few years ago which said we will not touch a PSU. That quant fund is today in it's in, I wouldn't say disastrous, but it is in bad performance. And I knew something like this would happen because your bias hits you. If you have seen data in India, forget the post Modi impact on PSUs doing so well, but PSUs have been a big drain on the economy, right? I've said this in the past, but sometime in 2007 or 2008, I sold BHEL for 305 and I recently bought BHEL for 25, right? 2 years back, March 2020 perhaps, right? So they have destroyed value, but BHEL bought at 25, now maybe at 250, 275, whatever. It's been a 10-bagger for me. Now that's fantastic. Did I know this will happen? No, but my argument was very simple. At 25 rupees, there is nothing much to risk in BHEL. But remember, you don't risk 25. You risk 25 into 5,000 shares or 25 into 10,000 shares, 2.5 lakh rupees. You never risk 25. You risk the quantity into rate. That is the amount of money that you risk. Yes, did I take a risk? Yes. Did I get proportionately high returns? Yes, I got very, very high returns. I have no regret about that, right? So whenever you are looking at the past and blaming people or looking at the future, you need to understand that you are working with very little data. You are working with the fact that you cannot predict what is going to happen in the future. Is Amazon a good buy? I have no clue. Will Amazon give great returns? I don't think so, right? Because it's a well captured company. Everybody knows, everybody is reading about it and everybody is copying it. So maybe in the future the returns are not going to be anywhere as good as what it has been in the past. In fact, that is my argument even in my portfolio. I don't think the return that I am going to get in HDFC Bank is going to be even a patch on what I have got in the last 20 years. Do I still hold on to the share? Yes, I do hold on to the share. Do I hold on to a substantial part of the share? Maybe not substantial, but a big portion of the share is still there with me. Will I be buying more HDFC Bank? Unlikely, simply because whatever I'm having is going to be is going to be held for a long period of time. So your decisions is based on some rationality, some present data, some past experience for yourself, or past experience of some other client or something which you have read. So what you have read in the books, what you are seeing on YouTube, what you are reading in magazines, all that put together creates your portfolio. To think that you can act in isolation, removing all the impact of all this, is very, very difficult. But it is not difficult for me, because I trust a fund manager, and after that I honestly don't look at it. So I would have money in say iPro Discovery from 2003 or 2004, whenever Naren joined. I wouldn't put money in ICICI Prudential pre Naren. I don't know how it is going to be post Naren, right? So some of these biases of saying, oh, I know he's a good fund manager, let me stick to it. I know this is a good promoter, I know this promoter will do well, I know this promoter has enough depth of management, so I will stick around during bad times. Or I think the company is building good market share, so I don't have to worry too much about the PE ratio and ROCE, RONW. None of this makes sense when a company is building its market share and building its employee strength, and typically like a Zomato or an Indigo today, or a 1994 HDFC Bank, right? So you don't know what is there in store in future. Don't look at the past data and say, oh, this is what they should have done. It makes no sense, right? Ideally, for all of us, our grandfathers should have invested maybe 5,000, 10,000, whatever, in the index, or in some fantastic blue chip shares. Maybe it was not even available at that point in time, and should have left it untouched, right? So compounding works brilliantly for the next generation. Having said that, it has worked for me, it will work for you. So make sure that you go to the gym regularly. Exactly. Thank you.